Happy Monday. For those in the United States, we hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. And for everybody else, we hope you've had a great weekend. This is Looking Up, a podcast for Christian women, more than one woman. I'm Kathy Pollard, and with me is Carla Moore. We're your hosts, and we just get together every week and chat. And we call this podcast Looking Up from Colossians 3, verses 1 and 2, which reminds us to set our minds on things above, not on things of the earth. So that is our objective. We just want to, no matter what we're talking about, remind each other and our friends listening in to keep looking up, keep Christ at the forethought of our minds, and know that everything's going to be right no matter what, as long as we keep him first. Right, Carla?
Exactly right.
That color looks good on you.
Thanks. What do you call it? I think it's raspberry, but
That works.
okay.
Yeah, I like that. So you've had a big morning.
Yes, I did. I just went live, and that's my first time to ever do that. And it was nerve-wracking. And so I just pretended that I was talking to you and Lynn and just, acted like it's no big deal. I have no idea who I'm talking to, but I'll pretend like I'm talking to Kathy and Lynn and just getting the word out about scripture writing. So it wasn't bad. It was 13 minutes long, though. I told you I was going to try to keep it between 5 and 10 minutes, and it just went by like that. And that doesn't usually happen. So I was kind of surprised by that. Sorry about the people that were listening that didn't have 13 minutes.
I mean, that's kind of the story of our life, right? The podcast, we always try and say, let's tighten this ship up.
Yeah. And then we don't. Yeah, we just have a loose
And
ship.
then, yeah, after every episode, I send you the time and we're like, huh.
Hey, we're better than we used to be. I mean, we had some 2-hour episodes in the beginning.
We did. I think the sweet spot is about an hour.
Mm,
I'd like for it to be an hour or less, but that rarely happens.
yeah. Well, we just have too much to say.
Well, speaking of too much to say, I am kind of really looking forward to today's topic, which is how to get our husbands to, well, how can husbands help? Let me rephrase how husbands can be helpful in busy seasons during
There you
busy.
go.
So, especially for this holiday season coming up, everybody, Thanksgiving is behind us. We're shifting gears a little bit. I imagine everybody's holiday scenario looks a little bit different. Is it going to be full of lots of family coming in and lots of things on your calendar already? If you have a church family, and we hope you do, you're probably doing things with your physical family, your church, your spiritual family. It just gets full really quickly and lots of obligations. And even though they're all fun, beautiful things, it can be overwhelming. And if you're anything like me, and probably you too, Carla,
For sure.
sometimes we can wish that our husbands were doing a little more.
Never, never.
Never. So that's what we're going to talk about. But before we get to that, we know you've had a live experience. What else have you been up to since we chatted last?
Well, I was going to mention it's not a gripey thing, but so for the scripture writing, I always order from Office Depot. I just order a sample so I can see because before I send it to TCI Graphics, because I want to see it in paper and see if there's anything I need to change. So I'd ordered several from Office Depot, had a good coupon and all that, and they shipped them to me, but they don't wrap them in plastic. They just put them in a box and
Mm.
then put some paper in there and all. And so when I got the box, it was almost completely wet. The whole box was wet. And so I'm like, oh no. And I pulled them out and I don't know if you can see the
Yeah,
wet
water
mark in the
damage.
corner. And
Mhm.
it's all throughout. It's got wet stains on the edge. And so I laid them out and they dried out and everything. And they'll still work okay because they're not even warped, but they're stained. So
Mhm.
I was kind of, they're not cheap to have printed. And so I went to the little help chat online and the guy was super helpful and said, yeah, we can either give you a refund or we can reprint them. And I thought, well, a refund would be great because then I can still use them, but not spend all that money on something doesn't look nice. And so he said, we'll be contacting the store. Well, long story short, the store said customer service shouldn't have said that. We're going to reprint them and send them to you. And that's what they did. They offered a refund. The person I chatted with offered the refund, but the person in the store said no refund, we'll reprint. And so I got the reprinted ones. And I don't know. I was just kind of I'm not looking up very well, but I thought, I don't know how to handle that. I want to be nice about it. And it
Mhm.
wasn't anything that was, affected the state of the world, but I was kind of disappointed about that. Really don't even know why I'm bringing it up. I guess we're just chit-chatting. And so,
Did the second ones turn out okay?
yeah, yeah. But they still didn't wrap them in plastic. They just stuck them in a
It
box.
looks for better weather.
Yeah, well, and I mean, it was probably UPS's fault for getting the box wet, but I thought they should have put them in a plastic bag or wrapped them in plastic wrap or something before they shipped them, but they didn't. Anyway, all is fine. It's not a big deal, but
Well, speaking
you
of
know,
mail woes, I think it's
speaking of
a
what,
mail woes, MAIL woes, not MALE. That'll come later.
we're starting out great. I'm grapping about
I know.
refunds and reprints.
But not too long ago, we we got mail addressed to our neighbor.
Yeah.
And I reached out to her, and she said that the week before she got mail, a package that was for somebody like way down Cemetery Road, not even close to us. Well, right after that, I discovered that the main present that I ordered for Neil for Christmas, I ordered back in September. And I was going through, I've been collecting gifts in my closet, and I was going through and kind of organizing everything. These are stocking stuffers and these are for this person, and, to see where I'm at and what I've got. That gift was not in there.
Hmm.
And I was like, did I order it or did I just dream about it? So I went back and checked, and I did order it clear back in September, but I do not have it. So I don't know if it got shipped to somebody else, like they delivered it to somebody else who never passed it along to me, or if it never got shipped. I don't know what happened to it, but I don't have it. So
Can you not track it? Like, can you go back to the order
I
and
will. I will. I haven't done
haven't
that
done it
yet.
yet?
Yeah, see, and now here it is almost December, and we're
Hmm.
probably just getting that we have a lot of birthdays always. So packages are coming always. And I probably just didn't even pay attention, and so
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah.
I'll figure that out. I'm when something like that happens, I want to be gracious, but I also want to be firm. And I never know how to strike the right balance. But I know customer service is a big deal. But I also, my cousin Jana, her husband Don, was a FedEx delivery man for a long time. And she would always say something around Christmas to be patient with your delivery drivers because they're working really long hours and it's cold and people are cranky. So I do always think about that it's just people behind the boxes, when someone walks up. And so I know we have to be nice, always have to be nice.
Yeah, my sister has this whole little stand by her door that has a sign thanking them and please help yourself. And it's all these snacks and bottled waters. And every single time I go, it's restocked. Like it's all nice and clean and tidy and restocked. And every time I go, I think, oh, I should do that.
Mhm.
Hasn't happened yet.
John would be going outside and snacking on the
So, yeah, don't
delivery
mind if I
snack.
do. Thank you.
Yeah. I wanted to mention someone that is going through a tough time right now, and it incidentally brought back a lot of memories because on Saturday, it'll be so when this podcast comes out on Monday, it will have been the previous Saturday, will be 5 years since John's heart event. And a couple of weeks ago, I noticed on Facebook, I have a Facebook friend, her name is Haley, and I knew her when she was a little girl. I don't know that I've ever encountered her as an adult other than Facebook, but when she was a little girl, her mother would bring her and her sister with her to ladies Bible class. And so I remember her as like a 5 year old, but we've kept somewhat in touch on Facebook. So not this past Sunday, but the one before, her husband had a very similar heart event.
Mm.
And their son is undergoing some chemotherapy for leukemia, and they're not able to be around people as much. So they were worshiping at home, the four of them. And so they were by themselves, and her husband had this sudden cardiac death, is basically what it's called. And
Right.
she witnessed it, her children witnessed it. Her
Right.
husband's a policeman, and I imagine she knows quite a few of the first responders in the town. She was able to get them to come to the house almost immediately, and they revived him with CPR and a AED, which is a scary thing to witness as well. And he's doing okay. He had a heart issue surgically repaired this week, but they've got a lot going on. I don't ever want to say I know how someone feels, but I know something of how she feels, and she's focused on their son who's undergoing treatments and her husband who's been in the hospital, had this really, I mean, died. And I know that the Bible says it's appointed to man once to die. I understand that, but when the heart stops, it's just a traumatic thing. And so I wanted to just mention Haley Tutt is her last name, and her husband is Spencer, and for us to pray for them. It looks like the doctors say that he's going to make a full recovery, but we pray for him and their son, but Haley too, because I know that that's such a scary thing to witness, and then you spend a long time wondering if it's going to happen again, and it's just we need to pray for him. So Haley
We
and
def
Spencer Tutt, yeah.
yeah, we definitely will pray for them. Phew. Doesn't seem like it's been 5 years.
I know. In some ways it feels longer, and other ways those feelings, like you were mentioning in our chit chat before, these
Mhm.
things leading up, even looking back at my memories, my scripture writing memories from the days leading up to it, and not knowing what's about to happen, but how that helped to get us through that. So yeah, 5 years.
Yeah,
Thankful for
absolutely.
every time I see that tooth floss. I couldn't think of the word floss hanging out of the trash can. I say thank you to God that there's still floss hanging out the trash can.
What's hanging out of the trash can? That's right.
Sounds like a country song. Oh, and by the way, this is one other little side note about that. I got a message from one of his nurses last Sunday. She sent me a picture that she had run the it was the American Heart Association heart walk or run 5K. It was a 5K
Mhm.
in John's honor. She sent me a picture of the little heart with his name on it that she had posted on the board. So we stay somewhat in touch on Facebook, and
Oh,
she was one that came down that day in the middle of the afternoon, and I remember, this was during COVID, and I remember this face shield that she had on and hat, and couldn't see her very well, but she was not very optimistic, but she was also one that was, as someone else told us later, was sitting on his chest doing CPR. So she's one that is was very helpful in keeping John alive. So anyway,
yeah. I remember you talking about her when it all unfolded.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
thankful.
We're thankful. We're all thankful. So shifting gears a little bit,
Mm.
over our weekends, Saturday was a full day for our family, and we originally started out with Gary and Chelsea and Atlas going to the Christmas tree farm. We were going to wait until after Thanksgiving, but since Thanksgiving comes late this year, we thought we'll do it the weekend before, and that way we'll have it up a little bit longer. And so we went, get up early so you can get there as soon as it opens so you can find a good tree. And we all did that and showed up, and they were closed. They said they're
Oh
not
no.
opening until the weekend after Thanksgiving. And so anyway, we're like, all right, we'll try this again next weekend, which I'm trying to figure out how to do with company. That's Thanksgiving weekend. And well, anyway, we get back and Neil and Gary just started tromping around the backyard and they found a tree. So,
Talk about right under your nose.
yeah, they said, come out here and look at this tree. So we went out there and we're kind of eyeballing it and sure enough, they cut it down, trimmed it up, brought it in. It's a red cedar, so it looks completely different from any other tree that we've had. It's not decorated yet. Can you see that?
Yeah, yeah. You'll get lights on it soon, and perfect.
It's gonna have to be a little different. I like a lot of lights, a lot of white lights, but the branches are kind of flimsy. It's feathery almost. So we're gonna have to do just a few lights, small white lights and light ornaments. But since it came from our backyard, I think I'm gonna emphasize the rustic. So I bought a great big old bag of those large navel oranges, and I've sliced them up and they're in my dehydrator, and I'm
Oh,
gonna do
fun.
dried oranges, on twine, garland for it, and keep it like real simple, not a lot of ornaments. And but anyway, that was fun. Now we've all decided that we love it, because we love the fact that it just came from our backyard. And then, so that was that morning, and then at noon, all the kids and their kids came over because we had Gary and Chelsea's birthdays to
Oh,
celebrate. So at one point, um, I was trying to open up a pickle jar and I couldn't get it open. And so I walked into the living room and the first guy I saw was holding a baby. And I went, oh, well, the next guy I saw was holding a baby. And I was like, oh, and I even said out loud, I'm trying to find somebody not holding a baby. Well, then I just stopped because it was Neil and all three of our grown sons sitting in the room and they were all holding a baby.
mm,
And they were just chatting, having a conversation. And I thought, oh man,
amazing.
this never happens. The fact that they're all still, all the babies are still. And I was like, I have got to capture this. So I put the pickle jar down and hopped up and took the picture. And you can see the pickle jar in the picture.
I didn't see the pickle jar. Now I'm gonna have to go find it.
Yeah, it's between the couch and one of the recliners, but it was so sweet. It looks like it's posed. It looks like I said, "Okay, all of you sit here and hold a child," but I just walked in on it, and it was amazing. But we did that, and I wanted to show this ornament that Janelle made for us. This is our Business Life and Favor logo, and she hand painted this ornament. And the best thing about it is when we're done with the tree, it's got a magnet on the back, so we can just put it on our fridge.
Perfect.
And then I saw on Facebook that she's selling these. So if there's a picture or a logo or something that you have that you would like, she can hand paint it. And she puts a lot of time in these, and she's only selling them for $10.
I saw that and I thought she could, that's not enough. She needs to charge more
No.
than that.
That's
Just
what I was
my
thinking too,
personal opinion.
because of how much time that she's going to put in it. And it'll be a really special, unique. But I just wanted to share that on here. You can reach out to me, or if you're Facebook friends with Janelle Pollard, you can reach out to her directly and place an order for that. She does really good work.
Yeah, that's a neat hand, that's art.
It really is art. She's very talented. She really is. And we've already gotten our first Christmas card.
Yeah.
Do you have a Christmas card
Dale
yet?
No, well, I do have one from, yeah, Paul and Melissa Freisinger yesterday.
This is a young family that are relatively new at Cumberland Trace, and their last name's Gwen, but they're a cute, sweet little family. It's them and their child and their sweet little doggy. And but I'm just amazed. I'm going, it's not even Thanksgiving yet, and they're on the
Yeah.
ball. I
Yeah.
haven't even started my Christmas cards, and we've already gotten theirs. So
I thought that was Dale and Janelle for a minute.
I can see that. It looks like something they would do, but no. And then the only other thing I wanted to share before we get started is that my mom, sister, and I, at the beginning of the year, are starting this chronological Bible. So this is one that's set up the way events unfold in history. So it's not in the same order that your regular Bible is in. It's according to historical events. So which is very helpful for me. And I did this, I went through it a few years ago and absolutely loved it because I can get really confused when this prophet prophesied during whose
Right.
reign and what was going on, and to be able to read it all, and it's set up to be 365 daily readings, and at the front of each reading is like a little blurb with historical information or little Devo thoughts or whatever. But so it's a really great read, and my mom and sister are doing it with me, and we're just going to kind of touch base with each other about our thoughts. Well, then I decided to ask my daughters-in-law to join in with me also. And I just thought I'd share that because we're coming up on a new year and it's kind of a little bit different way to approach reading the Bible through the year. If anybody else, these are very inexpensive. I want to say this is like $17.
I like that it's hardback. So
Yeah.
it's a chronological Bible or it's a Bible study?
No, it's a chronological Bible and a 365 daily reading, but it's called the Daily Bible by Harvest House, but it has little blurbs at the beginning of each daily reading, which might have a little bit of extra information about it. So I'm trying to find one. Now I can't get to the front of any day.
Well, I
But they're
that
just really short. They're just really short. Like the Reforms of Hezekiah has this little paragraph about King Hezekiah and the Levites and stuff like that. So,
it would be neat to have a timeline up. Um, they have those, I know at Mardell and other places, but in a big book that you can unfold, it's like a big accordion,
yes, we had
kind
one
of
of those
follow along.
when our
Yeah,
kids were growing up. Yeah, it would be. That'd be a great idea. But if anybody else wants to do it too, that'd be fun.
I like it.
hmm hmm
The only other thing I will mention, going back to your Christmas tree, well, first of all, that picture of Atlas, I just wanted to like put my hands through the screen and squeeze those cheeks. It was so cute. But what kind of a tree is that you put up?
A
Do you
red
know?
cedar. A red
Red
cedar.
cedar. So I
Mhm.
guess nobody in y'all's family has trouble with cedar fever.
Cedar fever.
Well, you would know by now, I'm sure, because we got a cedar tree one year and put it in our house. And the next morning, Jordan came out of his room and his eyes were swollen shut because he
Oh,
has cedar fever really bad. But I
oh,
mean, your cedars are probably a lot different. I don't think that's one of the allergens that y'all have there. That cedar fever down here in Texas is a big thing. A lot of people
whoa.
have trouble with cedar fever, but that
Hmm.
we put it up and had to take it down the next day. So
Oh no. Well,
you
they
would
were
know.
all around it. Yeah, for the rest of that day. They were here all day, so I
You
didn't
would
hear.
already know if it was going to
Yeah.
affect somebody.
I never even heard of that. Ugh.
Yeah, I don't have trouble with it, but Jordan has always, and I think Micah does. My dad did. It's just one of those Texas things.
Hmm.
No fun.
Yeah, no fun. All
Yeah,
right, so ready to get into our topic?
I'm ready.
Okay, so how can husbands help during busy seasons? I have busy seasons. I have 6 ways.
Okay.
6 ways. And if you listen to this podcast regularly, you've heard me say that my husband does listen, typically. He does a follow-up listen. So, let me just say he's wonderful, helpful, sweet, loving, thoughtful.
He's everything
He's
you
everything.
ever wanted. He
That's
is.
right. He is. He is. Love you, Neil. Okay. How can husbands help during busy seasons? So, we all know pretty much what we're talking about here. The day draws nearer, you're getting ready to host. Maybe you've still got grocery shopping or wrapping presents or planning meals, cleaning your house, or you've just cleaned your house and then people walk in and they're uncleaning your clean house.
Yeah.
And we put all this extra pressure and stress, and sometimes, I say we as in sometimes we can do this. And it's just real easy to feel frustrated with maybe other people who live in the same house as we do, and we wish that they were doing more. That would be a lot easier on us if they would lend a helping hand in some way. And the best part about it would be if they could read our minds and lend a helping hand in some way without us having to spell it out.
Except if they could read our minds, it might not be as nice. They might not want to help us quite as much.
True. And also, does it ever work that way? That the
Mm.
person who lives with you can read your mind? No. So why do we keep hoping for that?
It's that expectations are premeditated resentments.
Which could pretty much be the theme for today's topic,
Mm.
because I feel like it plays a part in all of these things we're going to be talking about. But let's just go ahead and address it. This is what we want. How can husbands help during busy seasons? So I have 6 ways, and the first one is don't wait to be asked. And they probably will need to be asked, but can you imagine if they didn't wait to be asked? So, don't wait to be asked. Have that ahead of time. This is the intention part. Going in, intentionally determine that you have a willingness to help and that you want to help. And that before it gets here, before the holidays get here and it catches you off guard, go ahead and create that mindset ahead of time. So that is number one is don't wait to be asked.
I
And,
will say, sorry, go ahead.
and I was just going to say, I'll develop that a little bit more under point number two.
I will say that John he is really good about that. He doesn't wait to be asked. The only thing is that he'll get distracted if we have company. And, I get it because he's feeling like he needs to make sure everyone's um look is being paid attention to and all that. But I think I saw a Facebook post this week that it was a picture of a mom holding a baby and her husband's laying across the couch looking at his phone. And the post said something like, "It's not that I'm mad that you're looking at your phone and relaxing. I'm mad because I can't."
Mhm.
And that's where I find myself sometimes, well, I wish I could just sit and chat with everybody, which I know, and I know you're going to say this, it's not fair. Our expectations are not always fair, especially
Mhm.
when we do not voice them. But when you really think about what's behind the feelings, it's not necessarily that I don't want you to do what you're doing. It's that I would like to do some of that too. And if we did these other things together, if everyone pitched in or if just the two of us did it, then we could both sit down and talk to the guests. So
Right. Right, exactly. And I was going to kind of save this, but I'll just go ahead and do spoiler alert here. I have 6 ways that husbands can help, but then I also have 6 ways for the wife.
yeah, good.
So we're going to touch on some of that also. And Neil's father is so good about what you were just talking about, and I remember so many times when we would head over to their house, Thanksgiving is their big family holiday, and every single day, Neil's dad would be cleaning the floors somehow, either with the broom or with the vacuum, or it was like that was just his thing. He would, you know how easy it is for floors to get gnarly. And every single day, that was his thing. He would just go around and clean the floors, or I'd see him taking out the trash. And he even did that when they would come to our house. I saw him just grab the push broom or whatever I happened to have, and he'd go around and start cleaning the floors.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
very
just
thoughtful.
hugely helpful. Yeah. Okay, so don't wait to be asked. Number two, keep your eyes open. So this is under be aware, and it kind of just naturally falls on the heels of don't wait to be asked. Keep your eyes
You
open.
don't take a nap.
Right. That's exactly what that means. No.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess
Be
it could mean that,
looking.
but
Be looking for those. If you have that willingness to help, then be looking for those opportunities to lend a hand. So, and not just when it comes to housework and stuff like that, but think about your guests, your family members that might be there, or friends that you've brought in. Is anybody being neglected? Because, I feel that kind of responsibility is anybody talking to my mother? Is this person sitting by themselves? Is somebody having the car? Does this person look lonely? Do they have even help in that? Make sure that everybody is getting attention and getting loved on. Do you see a need that you can take care of, like taking out the garbage? Just keep your eyes open. And I feel like in probably most cases, we see those things, but that doesn't mean our husband sees those things because it probably doesn't bother them or they're not thinking to look for those things. It's not that they're not trying to be helpful, they just don't see it. So, what I'm saying is be intentional about that too. Keep your eyes open, be on the look for ways that you can step in or just fill in the gap. It's the holiday challenge is you only have 2 hands. And it feels like your mind is in so many different directions. And so if you've got an extra pair of hands, and better yet, you don't have to pay attention because they're helping fill in the gap in that way too, that's hugely helpful, don't you think?
absolutely. One of the funniest meme or reels that I saw is like a miniature hand. I don't know if I said this to you. I think I did. Yeah. And John got the biggest kick out of it, but it was kind of what you're talking about. It was like things that they don't see in this little hand. It's like one of those back scratchers that has a hand.
Mhm.
And whoever was filming it went around the house and tapped with this miniature hand all the things that her husband didn't see, like the protein powder spilled on the counter. She's like beating on it and saying, clean it up. And then the socks on the floor, she taps it with the hand and clean it up. And but it was very cute and
Hmm.
memorable. And John thought it was so funny. It was like, okay, so just those things that they don't see. And it's not always just a male trait. There's women too that they
Yes.
things don't bother them. And
Mhm.
that's, in their home, that's great. But when you got something going on in your home and there's lots of extra people, you really need some extra eyes to keep an eye on things that are gonna pile up and get in the way.
Yeah, and that could be part of the conversation too, is, normally this isn't a big deal, but since we're going to have more people here, stuff like this, it would really be helpful if
Yeah.
it just wasn't there. It wasn't a thing this week, okay? Yeah, maybe you can share that video in the group and everybody else can share it with their husbands.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it really was like a humorous,
It
like,
was,
here,
I remember it. Yeah.
this is how I feel. And I know you don't mean to do this, but there's some things that you could help me out with. Keep your eyes open. I like it.
All right, so number three is look for ways to help it feel like a holiday for your wife too.
Oh, I like that one.
Yes, and that one kind of goes back to what you were saying. It's not that you're mad he's taking a nap, it's that you're not taking a nap. And I feel like that's what I'm wrestling with when I'm feeling like a bad attitude coming on. I thought, everybody else gets to act like it's a holiday. They get to relax, read that book they've been wanting to read, watch the game, take a nap, go for a run if they want to, all these things. And meanwhile, I'm sweating in the kitchen,
Yep.
just trying to keep up, make sure everybody's happy.
Dish towel over the arm and flour on your face and sweat running down. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So look for ways to help it feel like a holiday for your wife too. And that could be, did she get a chance to sit down and relax at any point?
Mhm.
Could you say, why don't you sit down for a few minutes and I'll get these dishes in the dishwasher or um, know what makes the day feel like a holiday for her. Some women wouldn't want to sit down, but maybe she would like to run to the store by herself or, go shopping or hit a sale or, whatever it is for her that makes it seem this is not a typical work day. This is a holiday. What
Mhm.
does she like to do? What makes it feel like a holiday? So know what that is. And then it could be offer to pick up or cook dinner the night before the busy day or the day after the busy day. So, realistically speaking, she's probably not going to get that much of a break on the day, but you can kind of help make up for it before or after to where that feels like her holiday. She gets a little bit of a break. So look for ways to help it feel like a holiday for your wife too.
Love it. One of the things that I think about on holidays, especially if all of the boys are here and their families, is he gets to sit and talk to the boys.
Hmm.
And I don't get to do that. I mean, I say that, I don't mean I don't get to do that. I could just sit down, but it's just one of those things that you and I both know as moms of boys, they're going to gravitate to their dad. And I love that, but at the same time, I want that too. I sound like a spoiled little girl, but I think that husbands could help make that happen and
Hmm.
could facilitate it. So just something to think about.
Yes. All right. Number four, encourage and appreciate. Encourage and appreciate. So I'm thinking that, the wife wants everything to go well, and it probably won't. I mean, it'll be okay, but it probably won't go perfectly. And she's going to be aware of that. She's going to know that the rolls got too brown, or the dinner was served too late, or the pecan pie didn't set. She already knows about the things that didn't go exactly according to plan. So you don't really need to point them out. But instead, I sure appreciate all this hard work you put into the day to make it special for everybody. You work so hard. What a trooper. What a, you know, um, just massage her shoulders and tell her she's amazing. Just if you want to be a help during the busy season, just encourage and appreciate because that I guarantee you that goes a long way. Just knowing that all the effort is being seen and appreciated, and again, I know we're going to turn this around. So I'm not trying to say be petty, be bitter, play the martyr until someone notices your efforts. Because we're going
Yeah.
to turn this around and we're going to talk about our heart posture here in a little bit. But right now we're talking about husbands. So
Amen.
appreciate it and express that, appreciation.
Especially if your wife's love language is words of affirmation. She really needs that.
Mhm. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Number 5, be extra thoughtful toward her side of the family. So, and again, dynamics could be different. Maybe that's not a thing in your family, but if you want a quick way into your wife's good graces, love on her side of the family without her having to say something about it. Let her catch you being thoughtful in some way. You're sitting down, with the relative that goes on and on and on, or you're asking if you can take their plate when they're done with it, or get them something to drink, or making sure they're not left to themselves, like let her catch you engaging with her side of the family and acting as if you enjoy it. And that's going to go straight to her heart.
Absolutely. But neither one of us have any relatives that go on and on and on.
No, 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 of course not. No.
That's for other people out there.
None of these things apply to us personally. This is just in general for someone who might need it, you know? I'm just thinking about, can you imagine? She looks over there and you've started a game with your
Mm.
mother-in-law. The husband has started a game, a card game with his mother-in-law. That first of all, the mother-in-law is going to feel special, but the wife catches that, you know how she's going to feel. That's going to warm her heart and make her have all the feels toward her
Yeah.
husband for doing that. That's what I'm saying. So be extra thoughtful toward her side of the family. All right, the last one for the husbands, how husbands can help. Number 6, mind your temper. Mind your temper. Holidays can be stressful for husbands too. So, we women have it down pat when it comes to being the martyr and all the self-sacrificing things that we do, but husbands have to do that too. Husbands have to sacrifice their time, their comfort, in some cases, their own bed. If you've got extra guests and you're giving up the good bed, everybody's making sacrifices. You're shifting things around, you're accommodating, you're helping out, you're spending money that you don't normally spend. It's a sacrifice for everybody. And in some cases, some men might tend to be a little short-tempered or impatient or whatever it may be when all that stuff is going on. So, a way that you can be helpful is to just mind your temper. Realize that everybody is having to give way. Everybody's having to be others first right now. Be extra patient with everyone and don't grouse about it. And then, just do what you can to promote peace and keep things calm and happy and act as if it's a joy for you to give up your bed or your favorite chair in the living room.
I love it. It makes me think of Steve Martin and Father of the Bride. Remember, if you saw that, how he griped and grumped and groused about everything costing, and that's what I'm picturing in my mind while you're talking. I
Hmm.
have to say, as you're talking, John he is good at all of those, and I don't want to make anybody feel bad for not having a husband like that, but at the same time, I want to say my husband who does not listen to the podcast, he's good at all of those, so I have nothing to complain about.
Yeah, and I think it's going to depend on what we focus on, how we feel toward our husbands during the busy seasons, which
Yeah.
is a good segue into part 2, which
Okay.
is the wives, our part. How can we feel better during the busy season?
Are you going to step on my toes?
No way, because you don't have anything to worry about.
All
This
right.
part was even easier to write than the first part, so that should tell you something right there. This is the part where I told you before we hit record, I kind of hate that Neil's going to hear this.
He can just run in when he's listening to it real quick and just hit the off button and say, we need to have a conversation.
That's right. Okay, so for the wives, number 1, communicate. Communicate. So I feel like this pairs really well with what I was trying to say to the husbands, but a big part of it is our own willingness to communicate. And my tendency is I want Neil to read my mind, and I don't communicate until after I've gotten frustrated with him. And then I think, well, I just thought you would blah, 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 and you didn't, blah, blah, And he says, oh, well, I didn't know.
Mm.
And because he really can't read my mind, strangely enough. So there are things that your husband is not going to anticipate or guess, no matter how many times you've done this and no matter how many years you've been married. They're
Mhm.
not wired that way. And so communicate, expecting him to read your mind and then being bitter about it when he doesn't.
Oh,
It's just
ouch.
frustrating for everybody, both
Ouch.
parties. It's frustrating for you because you created that mindset, and it's frustrating for him because you're asking something unreasonable of him. All right, so communicate and maybe have that
Communicate
conversation.
nicely.
Yeah, communicate when it's peaceful before things get busy. Go out for a cup of coffee or stay up one night and talk about it and just say, "Hey, let's have a conversation before things get crazy. Do you think you'd be willing to just and give him a task? Can you be the one to keep the floors tidy or keep the drinks filled or whatever it is? Just think of something. And instead of being whatever pushes your buttons typically,
Mhm.
whatever that is, I imagine it's different for everybody. Communicate about that. I know this time of year I tend to get snappish or waspish, and it's probably because blah, blah, blah. Well, I realize that I've never really explained that to you before, that I would find it hugely helpful for you to blah, blah, blah. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Have that conversation before.
Yeah. And counseling techniques, if you will, always say you shouldn't, what you should not do is say, you always make me feel this way, or you never do that, or you, rather than this is how I feel and what
Mhm.
can we do about it? And also I was thinking there might be some little funny hand signal or um what came to mind, what came to mind was whatever the mind meld thing that from Star Trek years ago. If you could
Yeah.
just do this to your head when you're looking with intent at your husband, do that. What was it? Was it like that? Do you remember? There's some mind meld symbol that they had on. So to
My
read
dad
my
watched
mind.
it. Yeah.
So if you could just do that to your husband and he sees it and you smile, then he knows, oh, there's probably something that I need to be doing right now. And then you can laugh about it instead of getting mad about it. That is something that I need to be better about.
Yeah, the signals don't work in my household.
Even if you said, Neil.
It's no, it just no, no.
Okay.
And the subtlety definitely doesn't. We've talked about that before. If I nudge him or barely tap him under the table, what?
Yeah.
In
What'd you
fact,
kick me for?
That just happened last week. So for our specific situation, it's all on me. I mean, it really is on me to just verbalize,
Mm,
and he has no problem with that. If I would just say, "Hey, would you mind blah blah blah." My problem is I don't want to have to say that.
right.
Just want him to
Exactly.
do it.
Yeah.
So number one is communicate. Number two, this is for the wives. Don't forget your husband. I think that we kind of drop him to the bottom of the list because we're focused on everybody else and taking care of everybody else. We've got special guests coming in or family or whatever it is, and he's a big boy and he can take care of himself. And all we're doing is thinking about what he's not doing and we wish he was doing. Well, what if we turn that around and we put him first? Hear me out. And said, can I bring you some tea? Can I, not sarcastically, can I bring you some tea since you're just sitting there? But genuine, can I do this for you? Or, take him something or make him feel like you're serving him or putting him in a place of honor in some way. Not in a manipulative way, but genuinely show him, I know things are crazy busy, but you're still the most important person in this room to me.
Mm,
And I
nice.
just think that what's that going to do?
Yeah.
First of all, it'll make your heart feel good because honoring others always does. But what's it going to do for him? In a time when tension really easily can show up in marriages and what's supposed to be a joyful, peaceful, special time in family, by the time everybody leaves, you're both like, so don't forget your husband. You may be waiting on your guest and expecting him to take care of himself, but what small gesture can you do just to show him, even in the midst of it all, you see him. You're
That's
admiring
powerful.
him across the room or whatever it might be. Um, it's pretty selfish to want him to treat you like a queen if you're not treating him like a king. Okay, number three, pay attention to what he's doing right. And I feel like this is a perfect on the heels of our last episode, which is, are we doing anything right? How we talked about how easy it is to point out what's going wrong. And isn't it, Carla, so easy to get into that mindset with the people that are closest to us in situations like this that are busy and we're busy and everything has to unfold, or disaster ensues. And we just start seeing the things. Well, if he would do this, well, if they would do that, well, if they wouldn't do this, but instead pay attention to what he's doing right. Instead of noticing where he's dropping the ball, pay attention to all the little things that he is doing. It's probably more than you think if you're looking for it. You've got that one thing in mind that he's not doing, but look for is he playing ball with all the kids?
Hmm.
If you might be thinking, well, I wish I was out there playing ball with all the kids. Really? Do you? Because the fact that he is out there playing ball with all the kids keeps them from being underfoot, whether
Mhm.
you realize that or not, while you're trying to do all the last minute meal prep. Um, did he replace the strand of lights outside that went out or the porch light? Did he run to the store for you when you forgot that extra dozen eggs or whatever it is? There are things like that he probably is doing, but you're not thinking about that. You're just thinking about what he's not doing. So pay attention to what he's doing right.
Writing all these down, and in between writing them down, I'm
You froze up there for a second.
said I was writing all those things down, and in between, I was putting bandages on my toes.
Oh, mine too. Mine too. All right, number four, express gratitude. So if you're paying attention to what he's doing right, express gratitude. And this is a heart posture for us. Just like I started out addressing the husbands with prepare ahead of time to have a helpful mindset. I'm going to be looking for ways. I think for us, we can prepare our hearts ahead of time to be grateful and appreciative, to acknowledge and appreciate. And I mean, acknowledge verbally what your husband has done or is doing, acknowledge it with a hug. Just taking the time to walk over and give him a big hug. Like, no, I'm seriously hugging you right now. This isn't a quick thing. I'm hugging you and I see you and I love you. Um, with a glance, the communication that spouses can do can be good or bad. And I imagine in stressful, busy seasons, those glances can be less loving. Maybe there's a little snarl with it or furrowed brow or whatever. We know the look we can give. But instead, express gratitude with a glance, a little smile, a little nod of your head. You can put the warmth in that glance with a post-it note somewhere. I mean, I'm just saying something unexpected that lets him know you love and appreciate him.
Hmm.
Number five, I put this one in all caps. Do not be uptight or resentful.
Ooh,
Yes. So, as we mentioned, stress, exhaustion, pressure, a lot of times we are the ones placing those on ourselves. A certain amount of it is natural, which is preparing for an event like that. But I assume the people coming into your room and into your home, family, friends, whoever that might be, are focusing on way different things than you are. So do not be uptight about it. And if we are taking all those things on ourselves, don't take it out on everybody else. If we're making the choice that everything has to be just right and we have to do this and I've got to do that, well, you've made that decision. Don't take it out on everybody else, especially your family members as you're preparing for what's supposed to be a special day. So
Mhm.
again, prepare your heart to see the big picture, to spend time laughing, to enjoy all the moments leading up to the day, not just the day itself, to enjoy the people that God put all around you
Mm.
instead of being resentful, uptight, bitter. That's just not a pretty look anyway.
No, it's not to both your husband and the people around you. When I've thought this so many times when wives are snippy, snappish, whatever word you want to use toward their husband especially in front of other people, it just makes me think badly of her. It doesn't make me think badly of him because I mean, but that shines a lot on my own heart because all of these are so good. And I think I've come to the some of the realization of these over the years, but I think this is so good. If you're just starting out, it could help anybody, not just wives and husbands, anybody. But if you're just starting out in your marriage, all these things you could start out that way and save yourself some trouble, save yourself some heartache and arguments if you put these things into practice to begin with.
Well, and I'm glad you brought up the point about others seeing. You were saying that's just makes you think bad of them when you see a wife snapping at her husband. And because I really hadn't had that in mind. I was thinking about how petty we can look when we have this resentful, bitter,
Mhm.
monologue going on in our own brain during all of that. It's on our face, probably. And it's not a pretty look. It's not a good look. But I didn't even consider the fact that everybody there is going to be picking up on those vibes, whether they're positive or negative. And if you've got that strain between your spouse because he's dropping the ball in your mind, and maybe he is, but even then,
Mhm.
save the day with your good heart.
Yeah.
But if you've got that strain, people are going to pick up on that vibe, But if you're intentionally expressing gratitude and, finding ways to honor your husband and acknowledge him, and, that's going to be obvious as well and will affect the day. And you want everybody there to leave your home feeling good and feeling like it was home, and it was a warm, peaceful place to be. And a lot of that's going to have to do with our own attitude. So I'm glad you brought that up. And then the last one for wives, start and end the busy season with prayer and the word. So we know it's coming. And how simple would it be just to remember to pray about it? If you know that you tend to not display your best self with your husband, if you know that on the other side of the holidays you're filled with some regret because you realized you probably weren't that very pleasant to be around, pray about that ahead of time. And you can pray for strength. If you're tired already just thinking about it, simplify and then pray for strength. You can pray for wisdom. You can pray for joyful relationships instead of strained ones, whatever's weighing on your heart or that you're dreading. You can pray about that ahead of time. You can spend time in the Word on those scriptures that are going to remind you to rejoice and be patient and loving and all of those things and fortify yourself with that. Seek God's will and then let him accomplish something special through you during this busy season.
I think doing that, starting with prayer and uh, just thinking about it ahead of time, it puts you in a position of humility or a
Mhm.
posture of humility, which
Mhm.
that
Exactly.
that is never a bad thing. Humility is always a good way to approach every situation. So that can, mean it when you're praying about it. But in order to sincerely pray about it in the beginning, you have to humble yourself and realize that you need it. You need some extra help. So those are all so good.
Thanks. Do you have anything else to share on that topic?
Um, well, no, I mean, this is dumb, but I can't remember when it was that I jotted it down, but I thought simplifying, use paper goods. And then, and like, this is not in the right place. I should have said it earlier whenever I wrote it down, but that just can ease things. So some people are totally anti paper goods, they want to dress up their table, and that's fine. But I was
Mhm.
just thinking to myself, if you have paper goods, you can just throw things away, and then you don't have to be mad at anybody for not washing the dishes. So
Two
that's just
years
a side
ago,
note.
2 years ago, I switched over to 13 by 9 inch aluminum pans.
Mm.
And we put all of the food for the Thanksgiving meal or the holiday meal down on our kitchen island.
Mm.
And I have the Christmas serving dishes and the Thanksgiving platters, and I have all of those things, but most of them can't go in the dishwasher.
Mm.
And so, especially as our kids are grown and now we have grandkids, I thought, I know I could pull all this out and make it pretty, or I could spend less time in the kitchen and more time with people. And so I switched over to 13 by 9 inch. I put my mashed potatoes in there and the dressing and the homemade noodles and the meat and I mean everything. And then afterwards, everybody, and I got those little take home, like compartmentalized plates with lids so people can go out around and get all their leftovers. And then afterwards, cover it up with aluminum foil and stick it in the fridge if there's leftovers. I mean, it's that simple. And at first, I felt a little sheepish because it's the major holiday, but nobody cared.
Right.
Nobody cared. And they probably liked it because everybody who pitched in afterwards, it was so much easier and even for Thanksgiving last year, the people that said, "What can I bring?" I said, when they said, I said, well, "What do you want to bring?" And when they said it, I would say, "Bring it in a 13 by 9 inch pan." And they did, and it just made things so much easier. So we picked up, by the time this airs, Thanksgiving will be over, but we picked up the oversized sturdy paper plates that kind of look like an oval trough.
Yeah, a trough.
Have the Thanksgiving scene on it, and I've got
Yeah.
my stack of aluminum pans, and that's a good tip, and that's what we're doing again too.
Well, I was thinking about asking everyone to bring their stuff in disposable, and now I'm going to do it because you said that. I mean, I already had the paper plates and things, but that's even better to serve out of it and have there's less work. And side note here, the all that you said was really good, but what stuck out in my mind was homemade noodles. And what? You make homemade noodles at Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I know that's kind of weird, but that's just my family always, it started with my grandma. My mom always made homemade noodles for Thanksgiving, so I've always made homemade noodles for Thanksgiving, and now I cannot have Thanksgiving without making it because the kids would protest. So,
Well, I want homemade noodles. I mean, that's one of the best things in the world is homemade pasta. Are
yeah,
they just
well,
plain noodles?
it's not quite like a traditional Italian pasta. They're a little bit thicker, and you cook them in either the turkey broth. I mean, it'd really be better if it's the turkey broth from your roast turkey, but or chicken stock or whatever it is. And they kind of thicken up a little bit, and the broth thickens a little bit. It's
Kind of like dumplings then?
sort of, except
I'm
not
gonna,
fluffy. Yeah.
I'm gonna need that recipe. I'm gonna need to come to your house on Thanksgiving for some homemade
Okay,
noodles.
come on, come on.
All right. That
We'll
was
be
really,
eating
really
out of
good.
aluminum pans.
Okay. That's what we should
There
do. Give everybody their own 13 by 9.
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have something good for us?
No, paper
Okay.
gets
Well, about 2 minutes after we stopped last week's episode, I remembered the something good for you that I forgot. So it is, and it's really not good for you. It's a mug brownie.
Ooh.
Okay. You know how for a while back it was trendy to do all those little individual desserts in a mug?
Mhm.
So while Neil was out of town, he was in Texas.
Does this go to that 3 pounds?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But while Neil was out of town recording down there where you guys are, and one night I just wanted something, but I didn't want to go to a lot of trouble, and I Googled dessert for one, and a mug brownie came up, and it was so simple and so good, and it doesn't even have an egg in it. It is literally, and unfortunately I have it memorized now. It is literally you melt a tablespoon and a half of butter in the mug.
Mhm.
Okay. And then add in 3 tablespoons of sugar, a tablespoon and a half of cocoa powder, and stir that up really well until it's not lumpy at all. And then you add 3 tablespoons of flour, a pinch of salt, a little bit of vanilla, and 3 tablespoons of milk, and just stir it all up. Stick it in the microwave for 60 seconds. And when it comes out, top it with about 5 or 6 chocolate chips. Heaven.
Oh boy.
And yeah, it's trouble. It's trouble for sure. I'm sorry.
Should apologize. Yes.
I apologize in advance.
Great. That's all I needed to know.
So when you're stressing out in the holiday season, make it
Have
better.
yourself, have
Make it
yourself 3 pounds.
have some chocolate.
Yeah, that's
Ah.
something I'm unfortunately quite familiar with.
Yeah, you know what? Just go ahead and do 2 mugs because then you can have one in each hand. A balanced diet, right?
There you go.
All right.
You heard it
Uh,
here.
so we shall check in with each other after the fact and see how well we did.
Yeah, have a grade sheet on January 1st. We'll
Right.
see how was
Okay.
December for you.
How many mug brownies did you have? How many times did you snap?
Oh
They'll
boy.
probably be directly related.
I'm not going to snap because I have all of these wonderful tips here. So I
That's
feel
right.
better already. I really
Well,
do. Communication,
big one.
it's the biggest.
Communication, prayer, humility.
Communication before it gets bad, like prior communication
Yeah.
and a sense
Not
of humor.
not after the fact when your blood pressure's already up here, and then you're not saying it sweetly and calmly, you're saying it snarkily.
Let's see, what was it that I texted you earlier
Yeah,
this morning?
you. I don't mean us. I mean other people.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna erase that text that I sent you earlier today. The one about me screaming.
I didn't
I
see
won't.
it.
I won't be doing that.
Nope. All right.
Okay.
Well, good conversation. I love you. And until next time,
Keep looking up.
talk to you later.